Welcome to Whiskey Tango Fishing, folks. Spring is here, right? All the ice is melted. It's warming up. It's about 70 degrees today. There's a light breeze. And we're going to start off today with a video. I'm going to go through all of my bass setups and explain to you what I use them for. Now, an important note or disclaimer before we get started, right? You don't have to have multiple setups. You don't have to spend a ton of money on your gear, right? You get the gear that you want to get and that you feel like spending the money for, right? I started out with one spinning setup, one rod and reel. For years, that's all I had. And then I added a second. And then I started getting into bait casters with the Shimano DC reels and things of that nature. And little by little, I built my collection up over the years, right? And the reason I did that is because, one, I'm lazy and I don't like having to retie every time I want to switch to another lure, right? If I want to use another lure, I set that rod and reel down, I pick up the one that I have set up for that technique or that lure, and it's ready to go, and I just go out and start casting, right? But it's good to eventually get a couple different ones, and the reason being is when you're fishing with a lure that has trebles, you want a little bit different action on your rod than you do if it's a single hook, like a chatterbait or a Senko or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go through my different setups here, and they run the gamut and range the spectrum. And pay attention not so much to the brand and the model that I'm using, but pay attention more when I say that this is a medium heavy fast action rod. It's 7 foot and it's rated for 10 to 20 pound test line or in a quarter to 3/4 ounce lures. Pay attention to that and then what I use it for. You may have a different opinion, right? I'm not an expert. This is just what I like and what does well for me. Right? People are a product of their own experiences. So these have worked well for me, and that's why I continue to use them as I go through each fishing season. You may have different preferences, and that's fine. There's no right or wrong. If you're having fun and you're catching fish, there is no wrong answer, right? Nobody can tell you that you're wrong for it. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and we'll get into the first rod and reel setup, and I'm going to grab this over here. So this first setup, this is a Daiwa Aird X, A-I-R-D space X, okay? And I have a Shimano Stratic spinning reel mounted to it. The Stratic is a 4,000 size reel. Okay, it'll hold 240 yards of 8-pound test, 200 yards of 10-pound test, and 160 of 12-pound test. The rod itself, it is a 7 foot. All right, it's a medium heavy. It's rated for a 1/4 to 1 ounce lures and 8 to 17 pound test line. I use this whenever I'm fishing with live bait, live minnows. If you see, I have a float on here and I've got an octopus circle hook down here. Anytime I'm using live bait, I use this setup. I don't use live bait often. I use it primarily if I'm taking a kid fishing or if I'm taking somebody fishing who is new to fishing and they haven't fished before, because I want them to be able to have the best chance at catching fish. And using live bait, I mean, just hands down, you're probably going to catch something, right? If you've watched my videos, you see I've got crappie out here that are pretty good size. I got bass that hit the live shiners. So this is my rod and reel setup for that. The Stratic is probably from 1999 or 2000. This Daiwa Aird X is from last year. I picked it up, but it was only about $54 for this at Dick's Sporting Goods. So pretty low cost setup. It is a fast action and a medium heavy, right? So This next setup here is one of my 2 setups that I'll use for jigs. And admittedly, I don't throw jigs very often. That may sound a little blasphemous to bass fishermen because it is such a staple, but I'm not a huge fan of throwing jigs. When I do throw them, I have moderate success with them, but this is a Bass Pro Shops Carbon Light 2.0 rod. Okay, it is a medium heavy, fast action, and it's rated from 3/8 to 1 ounces and 10 to 20 pound test. And the reel that I have mounted on here, if you've seen my videos, this is the Svivlo Draken 1. This is a 100 size reel. It is designed to be able to cast without having to thumb the spool and without backlashing. It's got a rather unique braking system. If you haven't seen that video about the bait caster that you don't need to thumb and you don't have to worry about backlashing, check it out. I am going to probably try to do some other videos with it this year based on some of the comments I received on that to kind of put it through more of its paces. But this is one of my jig setups that I will use. The other jig setup that I have, this is a Daiwa Tatula Elite, okay, and this is a 6'9" rod, and this is designed for skipping jigs or swimming jigs, right? It's a heavy. It's rated from 1/4 to 1 ounce lures and 16 to 30 pound test. This is a technique specific rod that I picked up to try to teach myself how to skip lures. And I have a Tatula SVTW on here. This is one of the few reels that I have that is an 8.1 to 1 gear ratio. Most of mine, and people have different opinions on it. People will say that if you're fishing lures that you're working the lure with the reel, then you want maybe a 7:1 to 1 gear ratio, or even a little bit slower. People will say that if you're working a lure with the rod action, that you want that 8:1 to 1 or a higher gear ratio, so that when you go ahead to reel that lure in to recast it, you get it in quicker and you're saving time. I typically stick with most of my reels around that 7.1 to 1 or 7.4 to 1 gear ratio, and then I adjust my reeling speed as appropriate. But this is one of the reels that I do have that is an 8.1 to 1 gear ratio, and I use jigs on this as well. This here is probably one of my favorite setups. This is my Shimano Poison Ultima, all right? And it's covered up here, so I gotta take a look. This is a medium heavy. It's rated from 3/8 to 1 ounce lure and 10 to 20 pound test line. It is a 7-foot fast action rod, and I have mounted on here a Daiwa Steez SVTW. I will throw my 3.5 inch depths cover scat, my 3.5 inch Yama Tanukis, some of the heavier Senkos like your big bite bait fat sticks and things of that nature. But I use this primarily with soft plastics. And it does a really good job. I love the balance on this and the weight. It's feather light, and I can throw this all day long and not have any problems and not be tired at the end of the day. This is a pretty expensive, probably one of my priciest rod and reel setups, but it gets a lot of use. This next setup here, this is a Megabass P5 Destroyer. This is the 110 stick. They rate their rods a little bit differently. So this is an F4 strength. It is a 6'5" rod, so it's a little shorter rod. It's rated from 1/4 to 3/4 ounce and 8 to 20 pound test. On this, I have mounted a Daiwa Zillion, and I'll throw on this jerk baits, half-ounce jerk baits, my half-ounce walking baits, like this here is a Giant Dog X by Megabass that's on here now. So anything in that half-ounce range, maybe 5/8 of an ounce, top waters and jerk baits and things of that nature, I will throw on this rod, and it does very well. It performs very well for me. Okay, my other rod that I will use, and I will occasionally use that with some lighter crankbaits as well. This is a Tatula Elite cranking rod. So this is designed for cranking. It is a 7-foot, and it is a moderate, medium heavy, moderate action. It's rated from a 1/2 ounce to 2 ounces and 10 to 20 pound test line. This is designed for crankbaits. I will throw some top water walking baits on this as well, because you use a moderate action for that, because they have treble hooks mounted on them. I'll use, like, this is a Dog X Diamante by Megabass that weighs 3/4 of an ounce. So I will throw that on here because it is a little bit heavier top water, and I have a Tatula SVTW mounted on this as well. This is my other rod that does have the 8.1 to 1 gear ratio, because I'm walking that bait and working it with the rod instead of the reel. So when I want to take up that slack, I want to take it up pretty quickly. So that's my other crankbait and larger, you know, a little bit larger walking baits. The next rod here is, this is an NRX Plus. This is the 883C bladed jig rod. So this is designed specifically for bladed jigs, like your chatterbaits and your thunder crickets and things of that nature. It's a 7'4", fast action, medium heavy. It's rated from 3/16 to 5/8 of an ounce lure and 12 to 16 pound line. On this rod, I have a Shimano Metanium DC reel, so it is one of the digital control reels, and I'll use this for throwing chatterbaits all day long. It does a fairly good job. I do like the sensitivity. One thing to keep in mind, so when you go up in rod price points, you're going to get maybe a little bit lighter rod. You're going to get maybe a little more sensitive rod. As far as the sensitivity is concerned, if you go with a lower priced or more affordable rod and you want to pick up and capture some of that sensitivity, you can go with a braid and just do a fluorocarbon leader on there. I don't like doing that. I like doing straight fluorocarbon on all my bass rods. So that's why I like going with a little more sensitive rods at times, because I don't like using a braid. But the braid doesn't have that stretch or that give, and it'll pick up some of that sensitivity that you wouldn't otherwise get on a more affordable rod. Okay. The next rod that I'm going to go through here, this is an NRX. This is the 854C JWR, Jig and Worm rod. It's a 7'1", heavy, fast action. It's rated from 5/16 to 3/4 ounces and 14 to 20 pound test. I also have a Metanium DC mounted on this one. This I will use for my 4-inch depths cover scats, my larger bellows gills like 5.8 inch, my 7 and an 1/8 inch sticko worms, the big fat sticko worms by Bass Pro Shops, my 4 or 4.5 inch Yamatanukis, your heavier soft plastics. That's what I use this primarily for, and it does a good job as well on that. This next rod here, this is a Lew's Mock Jacked. It's a spinning setup. I bought this specifically for using with a drop shot, and I did do some drop shotting with it last year. Had a couple of bites, nothing really impressive, but I'm going to try to dedicate a little more time to that. This is a combo that I picked up at Dick's Sporting Goods. and it is their mock jacked setup here. This is a medium power, extra fast action. It's a 7'2", rated from 8 to 20 pound test line, and a 1/4 to 3/4 ounce lures. And it's paired with their mock jacked spinning reel on here as well. It's a very nice combo. I like the balance of it. I like the weight of it. I'm looking forward to using it this year and hopefully having some better luck with the drop shot. So this next rod and reel setup here, this is probably one of my favorites. This is the Shimano Jackall Poison Adrena. So this is a more affordable option in that Poison lineup. The Poison Adrena, this is a 1611 M+, so it's a medium plus. All right, and it is 6'11". It's rated from a 1/4 to 1 ounce lure weight, and 8 to 20 pound test line. I have a Metanium DC paired with this as well. This is very versatile. I love the way a chatterbait works on this rod. I just love the way it feels, the action and the responsiveness, and I can feel everything all the way down. I almost actually prefer fishing a chatterbait on this rod than I do on the NRX. Okay, but I'll also use this for spinner baits. I'll use it for buzz baits and pretty much anything. If I'm not sure what I want to throw it on, I'll put it on this first and see how it works. So this is a very versatile rod for me. It has been in my experience, and it's done very well. One of my favorite ones. Again, the lightness and the balance on this is very comparable to the much higher priced Poison Ultima, but it's got that solid or one-piece carbon monocoque handle where the vibrations just transmit down, and you can feel it when you have that butt of that rod mount resting against your forearm. So this is one of my favorite rods in my lineup. The next one here, you're going to see I got a inline spinner mounted on here because I was using it for some fall trout fishing. But this is a G. Loomis Shimano collaboration called the Conquest, and this is their 843S SJR. It's a 7-foot fast medium heavy, 3/16 to 5/8 ounce, and 8 to 15 pound test line. And I have mounted on here a Shimano Stella from about 2002. Primarily, I will use this with my regular size Senkos and smaller soft plastics when I'm bass fishing. Any of my lighter stuff, and I don't throw a lot of light stuff these days, but a lot of my lighter stuff I will throw on this spinning combo here, and it does a fairly good job with it for me. That's been a dependable part of my lineup for several years. And moving into the last two setups. So this is an Evergreen Combat Stick by Evergreen Custom. It's a tournament swim bait and wake bait rod, so it's got more of a moderate fast action. It's an extra heavy. It's rated from a 1/2 ounce to 4 ounces, and 14 to 30 pound test line, or 40 to 80 pound braid. I'll use this for frogs. I'll use this for my whopper ploppers and Berkeley Choppos and things of that nature. I'll use this for some of my smaller swim baits, right, that are in that maybe 2 ounce range. Anything over 2 ounces, again, I try not to go much past the midway point on a rod's lure weight rating, and that's just a paranoid hang up that I have because as the next rod I'll show you, I was throwing a 2.3 ounce Combat Rat on a Tequila Baccarat by Mega Bass, and the rod snapped on me mid-cast. So I don't know what the reason for that was. I don't know if I nicked it on something earlier, if it hit something and got some type of stress fracture, or what the reason was, but I'm just paranoid. I don't like pushing a rod more than half or much more than half of the lure weight that it's rated for. Anything around that 2 ounce or less, I'll throw on this Combat Stick, and it does a great job for me. The next one and this is the heavy hitter of the group. This right here is a Megabass rod. It's a TS78X Plus, and this is the king of Baccarat. And all my rods just blew over with the wind. But this is a 7'8". It's rated from 3 to 15 ounces and 16 to 40 pound test line. On here, I have a Daiwa Tatula 200 that's mounted on here, and it does fairly well. Now with this, I will cast my Evergreen Combat Rat, which is around a 2.3 ounce. I'll cast some larger swim baits, some that I'm going to go through that I haven't even opened up yet, but I'm going to go through them with you in a future video of some of the stuff that is new to me. I haven't taken it out of the box yet, but I'm excited to try out this year. But this is the this is a Destroyer, Megabass Destroyer rod lineup, the TS, or Technique Specific, and this is the king of Baccarat. All right, this will probably handle any of my heavier stuff that I ever throw. I'm not going to ever need anything heavier than this for bass fishing, but it does a really good job with the Combat Rat and some of my other big surface lures, swim baits, wake baits, and things of that nature. So I hope this gave you a little bit of insight as to what I prefer and what I use in my lineups. Again, don't get caught up so much on the brand and the model that I use, right? You buy what you want to buy, what you can afford, and what you feel like spending the money on. There is no right or wrong. Do you have to have as many rod and reel setups as I have? No, you don't. But again, over the years, I said, you know what? Now I want to get one that I can handle have set up for crankbaits exclusively. And now I want to get one that I want to use for just this. And that way I can, when I'm out fishing, I can maximize my time fishing and not have to retie. I can just set one rod down, pick up the other one that's already set up for it, and go right into fishing with it. So that's my personal preference. You're going to have your own personal preference. If you're having fun and you're catching fish, there is no wrong answer. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, put down in the comments below what your favorite setups are that you use. And if it's not one that I'm familiar with, maybe I'll check it out and give it a try and pick one up and put it through its paces on a video for you. But let me know what you like fishing with, what your favorite rod and reel setups are. Hit that like and subscribe, share this channel, help me grow, and I will catch you next time on Whiskey Tango Fishing.